Ladies and gentlemen, according to Ballotpedia, Donald Trump has a 138 and 10 record, 93% success rate in terms of endorsements, primary endorsements in 2022. Okay, 138 and 10. That's pretty good when you consider, and we'll get to John Gibbs defeating Peter Meijer in Michigan. I have a segment on that at 8 a.m. I had a segment at 8 a.m. in the morning. So be here at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. right now, every single morning Pacific time. I will have uploads on this channel at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. But Trump is 138 and 10. That's pretty good when you consider that all of media is against him. When you consider that the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, The Atlantic, Time Magazine, The New Yorker, New York Magazine, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Rolling Stone, and then, of course, you have Mother Jones Nation, Daily Beast, Vice, BuzzFeed. Okay, then you have late night. Then you have social media algorithms like Twitter. So tell me, the Democrats have every conceivable advantage, which is why they're even competitive at all. We're in a recession right now, interest rates are going up. The third quarter is going to be negative also. Inflation is at 9.1%. Real wages are down 4.4%. The economy has shrunk. GDP has dwindled. It's going to continue to decrease, unfortunately. 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth is a recession. We're going to have 3 consecutive quarters. World famous economists like Nouriel Roubini, Michael Burry, he's a world famous investor. They are all saying this is going to be a catastrophe in terms of a prolonged recession. We'll have layoffs. So my question is, when you have Trump in 2019, before Democrats gleefully tanked the U.S. economy, you have Trump with record lows in a record low in terms of U.S. and the poverty rate was at a record low, 10%. We have a poverty rate now well over 14 to 15%. Inflation was at 2%. We had GDP growth. We had real wages up. We had an expanding economy, hundreds of thousands of new manufacturing jobs. Household median income hit a record high. So personal incomes hit record highs. We have $2 trillion more in debt per household than we did under Trump in 2019. So what is there not to like about Trump? You say, well, his personality, we don't like him. He's a problem to democracy. These are things that are simply not true. Their allegations against Trump, pretty much every allegation that media has obsessed over, from his tax returns to him being installed by the Kremlin, to him being organizing January, which was a terrible day. But so the entire summer, you had $1 to $2 billion in property damage, 19 lives lost according to Wikipedia, and 14,000 arrests. I don't see Democrats, I don't see Kinzinger or Cheney condemning that carnage. And yeah, I agree with why people demonstrated, but the point is, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. So why would you vote for poverty? Like, if you vote Democrat, you're voting for poverty. That is just, you can look. I'm not being petulant or malicious or hyperbolic. Look at the economy now. Biden came in. We had just 1 year that was good, but then that was smoke and mirrors. He was being sued by oil and gas associations, and 14 states sued his energy policies. Then he waived Nord Stream 2 sanctions, and then we had a geopolitical nightmare in Europe, and then we have a recession now. So his foreign policy is a catastrophe. His economic policies absolutely stink. It's only going to get worse. So the Senate is the House will definitely go Republican. The Senate will almost certainly go Republican. But hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash and the Nuclear Confrontation channel. Be on this channel every day at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. I will have segments just like clockwork, so set your watches, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. To my new Patreons, thank you so very much. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to support, if you enjoy this segment, the super thanks button is below next to the like and the share buttons. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll have a live stream tonight, so be here tonight for the live stream. If you want to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications, go to hagoodman.com. I want to read you an interesting op-ed. So John Gibbs defeated Peter Meijer in Michigan. This is a huge political victory for Trump and for John Gibbs, obviously. And I think that he'll win. That the Michigan 3rd District hasn't had a Democrat since, 1993. They say that John Gibbs is a Trump loyalist. How many Biden loyalists are there? Were there Clinton loyalists in 2016? Why is it that when Democrats vote in lockstep and never deviate and never critique Hunter or Clinton's top secret intelligence on private servers and don't say a word about $1 to $2 billion in property damage with 19 lives lost, that they're never far left loyalists of Clinton or Biden or President Obama, but you have to be a Trump loyalist. Okay, this is just pure propaganda. And it's what media does to marginalize anyone who just wants a great economy. People don't vote for Trump because Trump is despised by Democrats. Although it's interestingly enough, one of the selling points. It's an amusing selling point. People vote for Trump because they want a great economy. If you vote for Democrats, you're going to have a terrible economy. That's the height of privilege. Okay, the height of privilege is voting Democrat knowing that you're just going to have a recession, a prolonged recession, with an obsession of fighting climate change, and that's fine, but you don't do so when you don't have the technology to do so. You don't transform an economy from fossil fuels to renewables when fossil fuels suddenly go to record highs and oil and gas prices are through the roof. They single-handedly, Democrats, caused all of this with an emphasis on policies that make no sense. Whenever you hear anyone say, well, Trump abandoned the working class, that person doesn't know the economic record of the Trump administration. That person also is probably an imbecile, but that person doesn't realize that household median incomes were at a record high under Trump. Household median income has fallen like $4,000. Households now have 20 grand more in debt from 2019. So I just want to read you really quickly. Now, Peter Meijer lost. He's a veteran. God bless him. I disagree with him a little bit on certain things in terms of politics, but I'm sure a great human being, and he did a lot in terms of politics. Relatively young in terms of being in Congress, and I applaud him for being a congressman. But he voted to impeach Trump. Now, there's no point in that because Trump was not convicted of a crime. And that was just purely a political stunt by people who wanted to just stick it to the former president as he left. He did not organize, nor did he tell anyone to do anything criminal. He didn't organize a criminal plot. It was a terrible day, but that day was repeated every single day that summer. So if you condemn that day and you don't condemn the fiery but peaceful CNN journalist in front of a burning a building in flames, there's an issue there. But here, he wrote an op-ed, and he wrote, over the past year in private and in public, these Democrat colleagues praise the courage of Republicans like me. Majority Leader Steny Hoyer called my vote an impressive display of courage and integrity. To leading Democrats, we were the good Republicans. You weren't just the good Republicans, you were tools. Democrats don't believe you were political tools that Democrats utilized. Democrats don't believe in anything they level against Trump because they embody all the allegations and accusations. They actually embody the corruption that they accuse Trump of. It's Hunter's emails, banking transactions, financial transactions that show clear pay-to-play schemes. It's not going to be difficult to find a crime there. He's pleading guilty, according to the New York Post and others, CBS News. There's 150 suspicious and financial and banking transactions. Not difficult to really, see the corruption. Then you have Clinton with top secret intelligence on private servers. By the way, I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. And if you watch this channel, you know why. I want everybody on the left to say vote Clinton again. I want to see that. But he goes on to say the Democrats are justifying. Okay, hold on one second. He goes on to write that there's a paragraph that he wrote that's very interesting. And the paragraph, the Democrats are justifying this political, by making the argument that politics is tough business. I don't disagree, but that toughness is bound by certain moral limits. Have you seen any? Have you seen what Twitter did to hide the Hunter Biden story from the world? 2 years ago, okay, or the lies they told with the Steele dossier that they funneled into the United States government, completely false and absurd document that James Comey thought was accurate or could have been accurate. I mean, you can go on forever. But here, those who participated, clearly fall outside those limits. But over the course of the midterms, Democrats seem to have forgotten just where those limits lie. And there's one paragraph here. God, it's an important paragraph. Conventional wisdom dictates that these extreme candidates are less electable than normal Republicans. John Gibbs should win. Over Hillary Slotkin, I believe. Yeah, I think he'll win. So, but with a historically unpopular president, Joe Biden, inflation at 40-year highs, less electable doesn't mean unelectable, as the Select Committee continues to warn about the ongoing threat to democracy. The Select Committee is a show trial that has nobody there defending Trump. It's all hearsay and gossip. Trump threw his dinner at the wall. He tried to commandeer a limo. But this isn't even they don't have, it's 2 years. They don't have anything like voicemails like Joe to Hunter saying, oh yeah, you're in the clear. All of these things weren't about, the corruption is within the Democratic Party. The corruption was within the Republican Party 20 years ago with the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people. But here, their own party dues are paying to help elect the same villains they rail against. That's the thing. Their own party dues are paying to help elect the same villains they rail against. Democrats in Congress spent $430,000 helping John Gibbs. Okay. And watching this unraveling inside my party has been utterly bewildering. The only thing that has been more nauseating has been the capacity of my Democratic colleagues to sell out any pretense of principle for political expediency. Did you think, and I say that, God bless Peter Meijer, fantastic. He's done more than I've ever done. I'm not in politics, but he's done more than most people, so I give him credit for that. Did you think that these people ran on principle? No! They wouldn't even exist as a political party if they didn't have Jimmy Kimmel, late night, social media algorithms, every single possible advantage. But here, at once decrying the downfall of democracy while rationalizing the use of their hard-raised dollars to prop up the supposed object of their fears. The point is, this is a well-written, great op-ed from Peter Meijer. But the thing that he doesn't realize is that it's never been about the House committee with Cheney and Kinzinger. It's not about protecting democracy. It's about completely erasing from history that entire summer of $1 to $2 billion in property damage, 19 lives lost. And I agree with why people demonstrated. I agree with the cause, but that didn't help further the cause. And Democrats and never Trump Republicans completely ignored that. Anybody on the Democratic side get impeached for bailing out certain demonstrators who then eventually committed some heinous crimes There were a number of individuals who were bailed out by a fund backed by Democrats. And so it's like this is the op-ed, why Democrats are funding my far-right opponent. And I give credit for Peter Meijer to write this op-ed. And I give credit, for him to have done what he did. I mean, he's a congressman. He did, that's a feat, in and of itself. But to impeach Trump as a Republican, knowing that Trump's policies are why people vote for him. Okay, you think any Democrats? I mean, I would love to ask, Congressman Meijer, do you think any Democrats are voting to impeach Biden on his voicemail to Hunter? You think in a million years they'll ever vote again to impeach a Democrat, no matter what the Democrat does? And if the response is, well, I don't care what Democrats do. My principles stand, I have principles and integrity that aren't dependent upon Democrats. Well, then did he get convicted? Was he indicted of anything? It was a terrible day. Shouldn't have happened. But at the same time, there was Senator Ted Cruz had a very interesting interaction with a government official that I won't get into. So it's like, anyway, Trump Republicans will take over the House and the Senate because Trump Republican economic policies are infinitely better than the recession and poverty we have now. And you can look at Pelosi's trip. It's like, well, what's the strategy behind it? And you can look at the Lincoln Project people who want never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts embedded within the Democratic Party. If this country had the money to engage in such long-term conflicts, Democrats would have no problem pushing for them. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. John Gibbs won, and John Gibbs is awesome. Like, I've heard the debate between Meijer and John Gibbs. He's fantastic. But see, again, people don't realize Trump has a 138-10 record because his policies work. The economy stinks now, and it's directly because of the policies of the Democratic Party and mashed potato brains. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Be here tonight for the live stream. Thank you.